Folks, what we're doing here, this is a standing Yabbie. This is a size 50. We've got a size 40 rigged up also that we're going to use. But what we're doing with this 50, you can see it's really not that big of a bait. I mean, this bait here is a 1/4 ounce. The smallest one's 1/8 ounce. But what I'm trying to do, I'm fishing this heavier one in the current where it's moving a little faster. And what I'm doing with this, I'm trying to simulate a crawdad that's poked out from a rock and gotten washed down into the stream. What's happening, these cutthroat and rainbows, and there's even some browns mixed in here, they're sitting out here just waiting for something to come drifting by. So what we're doing, very simple, and the key is to not overwork this bait. That's what happens with these smaller baits. Just like fly fishing, guys, when you're stripping a fly, you only want to move it 2 to 3 times the length of its body. It's the same principle with this. This crawdad's not going to make big bursts that are 2 to 3 feet long. It's going to make short hops backwards. Just like a crawdad trying to swim fast, it's tied to the back, so it's going to pop through the water this direction. So what we're doing to simulate this, casting it out into the current, and I'm kind of just keeping my index finger on this spool, and I'm just bouncing it down, kind of feeding it down through. But if you notice, it's just tiny little short hops, no big jerks. I want this thing to stay down low and look like a crawdad, little crawdad struggling in the current. Once I start to get where I'm feeling some slack and swinging into this eddy, close the bail with my hand, and then what I'll do is I'll work it back through this slack water real slow. But the key is to not overwork it. Don't make big jerks with this bait. Little tiny hops. Keep in mind the size of your bait is going to tell you how far you should move it. You know, if this bait was bigger, then you could move it more. A bigger crawdad's able to dart backwards farther. This little tiny guy right here, little short baby hops. Little tiny baby hops, folks. Don't overwork it. All we're doing, simulating a crawdad that's got busted out of the rocks, floating down through the fast water. Let me tell you what, it works. Oh, there's one right there, guys. That feels like a pretty heavy fish too, guys. I don't know what we got here. Big pike minnow. Folks, I tell you what, these fish right here, they get a bad rap. And this stream that we're fishing here today, it's all catch and release. And we walk along the bank and you'll see these things chucked up on the shoreline. And we're catching quite a few of them with these crawdads. Put that fish back. I think they're pretty fish, but some people probably think I'm crazy. But I tell you what happens, guys. I've seen it happen. What happens, these people come through here and they catch them, and the belief is that they're bad. They eat all the rainbow. And we live in a society where we want to take out the undesirables. And what happens, they throw them on the bank, which is illegal because it's all catch and release in here. But something to keep in mind next time you're thinking about the pike minnow like that, those fish, when they spawn, they put a lot of feed into this river. A lot of small fry swimming around, and these rainbows will eat those. I come in here and fish this stream all the time with minnow imitations, and I catch a lot of fish on them, a lot of rainbows. I rarely will catch the pike minnow. I'm catching more pike minnow today using the crawdad imitation than I am my minnow imitations when I come in here. But what you got to keep in mind, if you go through and you wipe all these guys out of here, and there's no pike minnow left, when those trout spawn, they're going to start eating their own. Okay, what happens with the pike minnow when they spawn, there's a lot of feed, a lot of small minnows. That's food for the rainbows. So just keep that in mind next time you go out. Don't necessarily want to kill them all, because they do put a lot of feed into the river. Yeah, they may eat a few trout, but they do more good than they do bad. Oh, there's one right there, guys. There's one right there. Not a huge fish. There he comes. Oh, he's a beautiful fish though, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that, right in the top of the mouth. I want to bring him in kind of easy here. He's hooked right in the top of the nose, so I don't want to hurt his jaw here. Look at the color on this fish, folks. What an absolute beauty. Look at the color on that fish, guys. What a gorgeous, gorgeous fish. He's got a pretty big head on him. He's an older fish. So it's a cut bow, guys. It's another cut bow here. Beautiful fish, guys. Right at the top of the nose. Folks, what determines a cut bow, if you look underneath right here, I don't know how well, I don't want to hurt this fish here. Do this without hurting him. I don't know how well you can see that or not, but underneath his chin, right in here, he's got the cutthroat slits right there. But he's a rainbow. I'm going to go ahead and let him go, and we'll talk about what happens there. And what happens, guys, it's happening, it's kind of almost a sad thing. What's happening, these rainbows were introduced years ago into these streams, and the cutthroat and bull trout were the natives. And what's happening, you see it a lot, you know, this is a stream that runs through the middle of the city, and you see it all in the mountain streams that are very remote. And what's happened, these rainbows are making their way into these streams and they're crossbreeding with the rainbows. And the cutthroat and rainbows, when they crossbreed, they form that cut bow right there. And the bad part about it is it's starting to wipe out the true strain cutthroat. You know, it's something that it just happens in nature. It's kind of like a tiger muskie. When a pike and a muskie get together, on the odd chance, that's what happens. But it's more predominant here in the streams with the rainbows and the cuts. So when you see one of those, just realize what's happened. They're actually crossbreeding themselves out, and the rainbow gene is a lot more dominant than the cutthroat gene. But that's what makes the cut bow. Nothing we can do about it. Folks, take a couple seconds here real quick to talk to you about this standing Yabbie. It's the smaller relative of the Super Yabbie. Super Yabbie is just a lot bigger. It's got the brush guard on it. We use it for flipping for bass a lot. But with this guy here, we talked about using for steelhead, and what's unique about this, if you take your steelhead jig that you normally use in the feather style jig and tie on one of these guys, they're going to get something they've never seen before. And what happens with these, the cool thing about them, you got two options. Inside these claws are air chambers, and periodically after I get done casting, I just kind of squeeze them and let the water out. And as it goes through the water underneath the bobber, it'll actually float horizontal to the bottom. The other thing that you can do with these, where these pockets are at for the air, what you can do is just take a little syringe and your favorite scent and squirt into those holes. Now as it's bouncing down through here, the scent's rolling off of these claws, and those steelhead are just going to annihilate it. We're not using any scent today. These fish, as it's flowing by, they're not needing any, but you're seeing how well it's working for these rainbows. I'm telling you what, folks, take your favorite steelhead jig off that bobber, throw that guy on underneath it as a jig, you're going to catch a lot of steelhead with it. Give that a try this winter. There we go, guys. Whoa, what do we got here, guys? Looks like a cutthroat, folks. Look at that. Cutthroat. Nice cutthroat, guys. Look at this cutthroat, folks. I'm telling you, everything, folks, will eat crawdads, especially this time of year. We're coming into the first part of fall. These fish are trying to get as much food in them as they can, and there's a lot of protein in crawdads. Look at this, guys. What a beautiful cutthroat, guys. Look at this. Running barbless hook here, folks. No harm to these fish at all. I grew up fishing like this as a kid, and it's still one of my favorite passions right here, to get out on the stream and do this. Look at this fish, folks. Absolute beauty. Take very good care of this fish. Look at that, guys. You folks that know cutthroat can tell it's coming into fall. See that brilliant color it's starting to get? Look at that. Standing Yabbie right there in the corner of its mouth. Gorgeous, gorgeous fish. This is what we're trying to simulate. Look at this, folks. Look at the size difference. That's been the problem with crawdads over the years. Crawdad baits, they've always made them big like this, and these crawdads in this river are exceptionally large. They're some of the biggest ones I've ever seen in here. This is actually a medium sized. I just found one, the bottom pincher, this bottom one right here, folks, was about that long. I mean, that crawdad had to be 12 inches long. But what'll happen, these rainbows will come up. You'll see these guys in the river a lot of times, and they'll have one claw. They're ripping one claw off and eating it. But with this little standing Yabbie, they can come up and inhale the whole thing. But that's what we're trying to go for right there, guys. But this guy here is just he's a little bit larger than the average. But you can see that standing Yabbie, that's a number 50 right there. Perfect imitation of that guy. Got the beady eyes on top. Got the ribbing underneath right here. See the leg pattern on the bottom? Pretty good imitation, guys. All right, I want to get this crawdad back in the water, folks. I don't want to hurt him. Take him back out here where he was at. Oh, there's you guys. Oh yeah, on some drag, buddy. Oh, that's a thick fish, guys. Oh, what a thick fish. Oh, what a beaut, guys. Absolutely. Look at that. Oh man, I can't say it enough how beautiful these fish are. Right at the top of the nose again, guys. Hang on, partner. Look at that, folks. Man, what a handful, guys. Look at that. Is that fish not gorgeous? Look at the size of the head on that fish. Well, folks, I tell you what, I think this is a fish we're going to call it a day on. That big, beautiful rainbow. I'm going to go ahead and let him slide out. Look at that out there in the sun.